We continue learning, and we learned an incredible idea yesterday in the back workings of Hishtadlus. In why do we need to put in the effort? A very fundamental question. If God determines what I'm going to get, how I'm going to get it, when I'm going to get it, what am I doing wasting my time? And he learned, the Bais HaLevi taught us yesterday, two incredible reasons. Number one, which is probably the more conventional understanding, which is it's a punishment. Admar Rishon dropped the ball, so to say, the Aveira that happened, and the ensuing punishment was Bizeas Abecha Toichal Lechem, that we have to work hard. The second reason the Bais HaLevi taught us was a little bit more mechudash. The Bais HaLevi taught us that in reality, there might be no reason at all to work. Hashem will give when He gives. But you know why we have to work? Because what were to happen in a world that we didn't need to work and we got whatever we needed, what would we do? After the sin of Adam Arishon, we have this thing called the Yetzer Hara. And when we have excessive amount of times, and I think the world at large is the greatest testament to this, you have time, what happens? Batala mevia lidei zimam. We have time, we do things wrong. So the need to be hishtadel, the need to work is purely for our benefit to make sure we don't have excessive time and we don't get into trouble. Now it happens to be in note 48 at the end. He quotes a third reason from the Chovos HaLevavos, which is that once we have to do Hishtadlus, we now have the mechanics that we could fulfill many mitzvahs through work. That by working, by having a parnasa, a job, etc., one could follow chesed mishpat, one could follow many halachas, and that's another reason why we have the necessity of Hishtadlus. And we move over to chapter 14, and based on everything we just said, we are almost posed with an obvious reality. Says the Bais HaLevi, now that we know why we have to work, we understand it. It's a punishment after Adam Rishon. If we didn't work, we just do Aveiros. Now we could really appreciate what does our work do. Nowhere in the previous explanations was the actual act of working determining the outcome. Nowhere in the necessity to work, to do Hishtadlus, to go to the doctor, to get a job, to go in shidduchim, to take care of anything. Nowhere did any of that talk to the result, because the result is completely unrelated. The result, whether we'll have money, whether we'll have good health, whether the children will be successful, has nothing to do with the Hishtadlus. That is Hashem. Now we can appreciate this clear dichotomy that there's two things at work. There's me working and there's Hashem giving. They're two totally different entities. And now we can have a very clear appreciation for this idea. And that is really chapter 14. And let's begin by reading a few words. Teaches the Bais HaLevi. Vim kol zeh, with all of this, Yavin, we should understand. Ki chol hishtadlusai, all of our work, einon mo'ilois loy me'uma, is pointless. It's a punishment. We have to work. We don't want to be bored. Does that mean that's where the money's going to come from? Rak ba'asakav yeh kimikayim geziras hamelech. So why are we going to the office? Why are we going to the doctor? Not because that's going to determine that I'll have money to pay for what I need. Not because therefore I'll get the medication. No, because there's a decree from the king, from God, to do that. It's the mechanics. We have to play by the rules. Kikain gazer alav. Hashem commanded us. Shlo yishlach loy mizaynai. He's not going to give. Rak acharei yigia, unless we toil. So we need to toil. But does that mean the toil will determine the outcome? Of course not. Uchamer Memedrash, as the pasuk says, Adam la'amal yulav, that we have to work. Di loy la'i lo'yachil. You don't toil, you won't eat. Meaning, yes, the work is necessary because that's the mechanics of Hashem. But the work does not determine the outcome. And I think now, as we understand what Hishtadlus is, we could slowly try to appreciate, and he's going to elaborate on this further, how we have to truly split in our minds these two things, that yes, we have to work because that's how Hashem determined he'll give us the food, but not that our work or the more that we work will give us more or anything of the sorts.